You are looking live at the home of the Tennessee Titans in Nashville, Tennessee. Two teams with playoff hopes still alive. On the outside looking in, Washington versus Tennessee, and the D.C. law firm of Norman and Peterson are reporting for work together today. It's been 3 years since Washington made the postseason. Adrian Peterson trying to run them into further contention later on today on NFL Network. We take you to kickoff of the game of Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans trying to get into the playoffs for a second consecutive year. I don't know, does that mean he's intending to sleep there tonight? We don't know what that, do some yoga before the game? We see. We're on the air live on NFL Network.
Week 16 begins in the Music City with a battle for playoff survival.
Fight for the man next to you, and let's win the game!
Find out what the Redskins and Titans must do today to keep pace in their crowded postseason hunt. Meanwhile, tonight in Los Angeles, how will the playoff-bound Chargers hold off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' dynamic rushing attack?
I don't think there's anything this team believes we can't do.
And which of these top contenders is in danger of an early playoff exit? Week 16 starts now on NFL GameDay Kickoff, presented by KFC.
Strides into the end zone, touchdown.
Hey, man, we're playing like a group of ballers.
Under pressure, and he's sacked.
They get him again!
And he intercepted, what a play!
This is December in the National Football League. This is a huge ball game.
Welcome to NFL GameDay Kickoff, presented by KFC.
And it is the second to last week of the NFL regular season, and it kicks off with the second straight week of a doubleheader on Saturday right here on NFL Network. I am Rich Eisen, pleased to be joined by Maurice Jones-Drew and three-time Super Bowl champion Willie McGinnis on the end of the set. The NFC East is still up for grabs. Yes. It's interesting. The Cowboys' clinching scenario for the division is the same today as it was for last week. Cowboys win, they're in, or a combination of an Eagles and Redskins loss. Together, they're in. Same thing last week, and by the way, the exact opposite happened. Dallas lost, Philly and Washington both won, which means Philly and Washington are 7-8 at 7-7, hoping to win out and then have another team like the Redskins would need the Eagles to lose as well. If the Eagles win out and the Vikings lose once at Detroit this weekend or against Chicago at home in Week 17, which Chicago might need for a 2 seed, then the Philadelphia Eagles would be back in the playoffs.
Crazy.
They still have a chance to win the division outright, but that would require a total collapse by the Dallas Cowboys. That said, we've got the Washington Redskins right on our air in a couple of hours. How do they keep themselves in this playoff race, Maurice, with their fourth-string quarterback right now?
Well, you have to go with Adrian Peterson. At the very beginning of the year, your running back you just drafted, Darius Geis, gets hurt. All of a sudden now you go and get Adrian Peterson for a workout. He almost has 1,000 yards. And, you know, I always like to talk about running backs because my birthday is right before, I want to say right after Adrian Peterson. So he'll be turning 34 next year. 33 years old, rushing for 1,000 yards, being the focal point of this offense is impressive. And so continue to lean on him throughout the course of the game. Josh Johnson can also hurt you with his legs, give you some of a Lamar Jackson type of atmosphere for your running game.
Well, you say it's a slow, ugly style, physical type of game because they're complementary despite what they've been doing. You said the running game, but on the other side, they've been great the first 8 weeks of keeping teams from running the football. The rush defense has been one of the best in the league. And then in the red zone, they were second in red zone. And over the course of the last 5 weeks, they've been the best red zone defense. So if you couple that with a good running game and not turning the ball over, making a lot of mistakes, this is why they've been able to stay and compete in a lot of the games. Now, in saying that, it's been a tale of two halves of the season. The last, on their 1-6 spree, the rush offense has declined, and the rush defense has gotten worse. So that's why you see them going 1-6 in the last 7 games, because the things that they were really good at the beginning of the season, they're not really good at right now.
And the problem is if the rush defense doesn't show up today, it could be another big day for Derrick Henry, who last time he ran the football on this here network, he almost ran for 300 yards, as I'm sorry to point out, ran the Jacksonville Jaguars straight over. And part of this run that the Titans have been on have them currently the 8th seed at 8-6. Their path to the playoffs is quite simple. The Ravens, who are on the back end of the doubleheader tonight in Los Angeles, and the Steelers, who play tomorrow in New Orleans. All the Titans need is one loss over the next 2 weeks by the Ravens or the Steelers, and they win out, meaning win this game today, and then in their last home game against the Colts, they are in the playoffs. Let's send things out now to Tennessee. Amber Theo Harris with an old friend here on the NFL Network, D'Angelo Hall. Take it away.
That's right, and we have a little Saturday football we're getting ready for here, and who would I rather spend the afternoon with than my 3-time Pro Bowl cornerback, D'Angelo Hall, former Redskin. We have the Titans and the Redskins. Both of these teams are 2 spots, as Rich just laid out, away from making it into that final wild card. In the AFC, though, will the Titans be the ones to get that 6th seed?
I like the Titans, but I like the Colts just a little bit more, man. Ooh. The way Andrew Luck is playing right now, the way he's throwing the football, the way Marlon Mack is running the football, and that Colts defense, man, they are playing so hard right now. It's hard for me to say that the Tennessee Titans are going to beat the Colts when that matchup comes here week 17.
Yeah, you're already looking forward to next week.
I am.
You don't think, though, that the Titans, who have a top 10 defense, remember that, can host Andrew Luck and beat him at home?
Now, you got to remember, when these two teams faced earlier in the year, Andrew Luck was able to throw for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They were able to get to Marcus Mariota by sacking him, yes. And so this Colts defense is very underrated. You know, if Tennessee can do some other things besides just run Derrick Henry, they do have a chance. But Marcus Mariota has to step up, and he has to throw the ball downfield for them to be successful.
You make a great point that the Colts defense is underrated. They have the number 8 rushing attack in the NFL. You think they will shut Derrick Henry down?
I think they have a chance to. I definitely think they have a chance to. You watch Dallas go into Indianapolis, and they stop Ezekiel Elliott. Normally, Dallas's teams are so much more physical than their opponents. I saw the Colts turn a page. They looked overpowering at times. And so if they can do that again against the Titans, I think the Colts, man. I think the Colts are going to sneak in there.
And they did shut down Adrian Peterson in your Redskins offense a little bit earlier in the season. But you know what, D'Angelo? None of that matters in Week 17 if the Titans do not get the win against the Redskins here this afternoon in the Music City. Let's go back to Rich. We're going to have much more live from Nashville coming up.
All right, there's Marcus Mariota, and he is warming up. Heisman Trophy winner there. Derrick Henry, Heisman Trophy winner. Adrian Peterson, Heisman Trophy runner-up. By the way, Aaron Rodgers finished 9th in that voting that year with Matt Leinart winner all. We're up and running here on the NFL Network.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by KFC's $20 fill-up. It's finger-licking good. NFL Game Day Kickoff is brought to you by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network.
All right, that's Nate talking. Do we not hear him talking? There's Nate. They're fired up to call the game. Nate Mooch and Kurt Menefee again in Tennessee, where we're excited to go for the draft coming up in April as well. Considered the league's most prestigious honor, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide recognizes NFL players who have not only exhibited excellence on the field, but whose passion to impact lives extends beyond the game and has led them to leave a positive legacy in their communities. Here are the nominees from the Beltway Mid-Atlantic area teams from D.C. and Baltimore, Vernon Davis and Brandon Carr.
Car Carriers Foundation was founded in 2012, and passion from way back when I was little, and finally got opportunity to utilize a positive platform in NFL. It just came from accumulation of my parents. My dad was my AAU basketball coach, and just seeing the impact that he had with my peers, and also my mother, who was a school teacher for 33 years, and just seeing the impact that she had in the classroom. I love being around kids, and I was like, what could I do to make an impact? Literacy was a big piece that stuck out, a much-needed resource that we needed to help out within our school districts.
I used to know not how to read, but now I know how to read because my mentor told me how to read.
Feeling when I walk into any school, it just feels like When I walk into the locker room, I get the same jitters, the same energy. You know, I feel like I belong there. And just when I'm able to interact with the kids, man, it's like none other. No matter if I'm having a good day or bad day, indifferent, good game, bad game, the smiles and their stories, it brings me back to reality of what I'm actually doing this for. There's a lot of people that need you off the field, need your platform, need your resources, need your commitment as well. The Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, to me, it embodies just the total service from a player. We have so much time that we spend within these walls, and we dedicate so much time to this game, but we have passions as well. Passion to do things outside these lines. Man of the Year Awards, those guys who are selfless, those guys who are dedicated to the betterment of community and the betterment of the world. Just all about just loving, respecting this kingdom, this world, and trying to make it a better place.
When I get back, I feel like it's game day. I feel like I just scored a touchdown. I feel like I scored 5 touchdowns in one game.
Looking for Vernon Davis. Caught! Redskins touchdown!
The name of my foundation is the Vernon Davis Foundation for the Arts. I started it to promote art education and art appreciation amongst youth from disadvantaged backgrounds. I plan to fulfill my mission by giving art scholarships to dedicated students and grants to deserving art programs. It's just near and dear to my heart because growing up in Washington, D.C., I was afraid to pursue the arts. And if I can give back and encourage and inspire the youth to do whatever they want to do, then I'm fulfilling my mission. I just wanted to leave behind a legacy. That legacy just being something where when everyone look at me and they think of me, I want them to know that I did everything that I could have done to help people. Our main target is high school students because that's when you need to step in and make that difference, because if you catch them then, you just make the world of a difference for them. The Walter Payton Man of the Year Award symbolizes a man who did everything he could have done, from philanthropy to working extremely hard. It means so much to me. Like I said before, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world because I'm associated with someone who put the time and energy in to be the best that he could possibly be, both on the field and off the field. Even if I don't win, it's still an honor, and it's something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life.
This year's winner will be announced at the NFL Honors in Atlanta the night before Super Bowl 53. And to learn about all of this year's nominees, please visit NFL.com/Man of the Year. All right. You won all 3 Super Bowls with that guy, right? Willie, right? I'm talking to Willie, not you.
I played against him, though, when they when they almost won one of those Super Bowls.
Great story.
Not the best guy to get tackled by.
You had me at hello, MJD. There's Vrabel trying to get into the playoffs as a first-year's coach.
Sports. Chicken. Wait. Sports chicken.
Time for the bucket list, presented by KFC.
Weird week in the NFL. Elite teams didn't look so elite.
Your Chiefs, your Patriots, your Rams, your Cowboys all took L's. What went wrong and how do they respond?
Panic or pump the brakes?
The Chiefs are not invincible. The Chargers beat them at Arrowhead in prime time.
It's not a good look. They went down to Indy, got slapped in the mouth. I don't trust the Cowboys offense.
Patriots just don't look the same.
Something's not right over there, right? Something is definitely going wrong.
Jared Goff looked terrible.
I think no team in the league had 2 worse losses back-to-back than the Rams.
It's been ugly.
Last couple games, they do not have that swagger.
Just when you think you've got them figured out.
All right, teams at the top of standings going on some recent swoons. The Los Angeles Rams, Cynthia Freeland's percentages to get the home field advantage. It was 54%. It was better than a coin flip. Now it's just a little bit better than 1 in 3 flips of the coin. As the Rams, I mean, Al Michaels used some gallows humor a couple of nights ago when he said the team that the Rams least wants to see is the Sunday night football team, because the back-to-back Sunday nights against the Bears and the Eagles, the offense has not looked at all like the team that we saw in that Monday night football game against the Chiefs for the rest of the year. What gives is essentially the question here.
The biggest issue is this offense is really predicated off the running game and what Todd Gurley can do. A lot of teams have really tried to stop the running game by beating up the offensive line, creating gaps or trying to get penetration to get Todd to stop his feet.
Yep.
And when you do that, you can't get those chunk plays that Coach McVay likes to call. He likes to call these play-action passes, get Brandon Cooks down the field, get Robert Woods down the field. You can't do that. So the Chicago Bears did a phenomenal job doing it. And then Fletcher Cox and the Eagles, they really sold out against the run. And so in that situation, now I'm forcing Jared Goff to be one-dimensional, and he's struggling right now. The protection is not holding up. He's getting hit a little bit, and they're having some issues. So they have to get back to running the ball. You lose Malcolm Brown in Detroit. You tried to bring those two young guys in. It just really didn't work out. So they go out and get C.J. Anderson. I think that's going to be a huge pickup for them throughout the course of the playoffs and the run.
And MJD, it's obvious that Todd Gurley he's the engine that makes this offense go. But what's interesting is when you don't have Todd Gurley or teams playing against that with stuff in the box or penetrating the gaps like you mentioned, a lot of this falls on Jared Goff. And a lot of teams are putting more pressure on Jared Goff because this is what's happening. When you watch Sean McVay and his communications of a young quarterback who is still developing and struggling at times to diagnose pressure and to get everybody lined up in the protections, you see him talking and communicating with this quarterback until the play clock goes down to 15 seconds. He's still learning. He's never had to really do this on a consistent basis. So now what defensive coordinators and defenses are doing, they're figuring that out. They're not giving this young quarterback a pre-snap look or Sean McVay on the sideline while he talks him up to the line. Now, when the play clock goes off and he can't communicate anymore, the defensive coordinators are now moving, disguising, shifting the front.
Right.
So now the onus falls on Jared Goff, who's not really used to doing this on his own. So Sean McVay, in a sense, still has the training wheels on Jared Goff, which is understandable because he's young. He hasn't never really had to do it, never really been in the huddle, called protections or done any of that stuff. So defenses are getting more sophisticated now in the second half of the season where they're understanding that and they're figuring that out. So along with the pressure, he's got a limited amount of time to figure out what to do and how to make those adjustments, and he's struggling because he doesn't have that safety net in Todd Gurley.
Rams last two games at Arizona on Sunday and then home for the 49ers in Week 17. Yep. As for the Patriots, their chances of entering Week 14 of the bye week, I guess you could say it was 81.3% right up until the Miami Miracle, and then after that play, followed by the loss in Pittsburgh, it is now worse than a coin flip for the Patriots to get a first-round bye, according to Cynthia Freeland. And the reason why that is so crucial, Willie, is in the 8 trips to the Super Bowl of the Brady-Belichick era, 6 came from the 1 seed, 2 came from the 2 seed, 0 from the seed or worse than what the Patriots are currently residing in. Do they need it? Can they actually make it back without it?
I would say it's helpful. It's helpful for any team to have a first-round bye and be playing at home.
This is a yes or no question, to be honest.
I wouldn't say they need it.
Okay.
No, they don't need it, but it would be nice, Rich, to answer your question, for any team to have that.
Well, I guess it would mean that they would have a wild card weekend home date against a 6-seeded team.
Right.
And then they would have to visit potentially Pittsburgh. I mean, they'd have to visit either Houston or they'd probably have to visit Houston. That's probably what it would be.
But you're not scared or worried about that. It'd be tough, but on the road this year, they haven't played well. And the reasons why they haven't played well in a lot of different situations is because the things we were used to seeing with the Patriots over the last, I don't know how many years, is they never beat themselves, right? They're fundamentally sound. They don't make mistakes. They don't get penalties. And the playmakers step up and make plays when they usually do. So a lot of things that are happening that are uncharacteristic of this Patriots team. You go on the road, you got 14 penalties, you got guys missing tackles, you got guys having breakdowns on the back end. And usually by week 15 or 14, all this stuff is cleaned up. They're playing clean football and they're peaking, getting ready to go into the playoffs. So when you see some of these things happen, a lot of people start to get worried, especially when it comes from some of your best players on that team.
Well, for me, it's the road loss record, right? The win-loss record on the road. You've never seen that from New England, especially late in the year. They're always playing well. I mean, South Beach, the surprise in South Beach happens every now and then.
The surprise
I like the way you brought that up.
I always try to
the Bermuda laterals and other
yeah, all those. But I just think when you watch that Pittsburgh Steelers game, the first drive was awesome. You found a way to attack it, but then there was no adjustments to figure it out after that. There was a lot of pressure coming from the inside.
Right.
And it just didn't seem like the teams that we're used to seeing. So my biggest concern is it the road Is it being uncomfortable on the road, or is it just, like you said, guys just haven't figured it out yet?
Well, the most New England thing would be for them to have to play a wild card game at home, then go visit Houston, and then host an AFC Championship game against either Pittsburgh or Los Angeles. I knew almost got through it by saying San Diego. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? They could still host the AFC Championship game anyway. So Ryan Kerrigan showing up in the... he's been at NFLshop.com. Look at that right there. Okay, we're off and running. We're still in our first half hour taking a kickoff of this doubleheader.
Coming up on NFL GameDay Kickoff. After shocking their division rivals in this year's Thursday Night Football finale,
Rivers goes to the end zone, caught, it's good!
Are the surging Chargers now the AFC's top team? Meanwhile, last season, they shocked the Chiefs on Wild Card Weekend.
And the Tennessee Titans are moving on in the AFC playoffs.
Does success await the Titans again this January if they punch a postseason ticket? And with Derrick Henry on a dominating late-season tear, will his record-setting run continue today? That's all ahead as TNF GameDay presented by KFC rolls on.
My name, are you ready? Are you ready?
Over the last 2 games, Derrick Henry has, check stats, 1 million rushing yards and 2 million touchdowns. That's an NFL record. Wow, this guy's been on fire.
Unstoppable, presented by Courtyard by Marriott.
Here we go! Unstoppable! Fires to the end zone! Is it caught? It is! The place is rocking right now. Wow! They did not see that coming at all. Diving! What a play! That was beautiful. T.Y. makes a sliding grab. Oh my goodness! He hauls it in. You can't throw it better than that by Phillip Rivers. Breaks a tackle. Diving for the pylon. Unbelievable throw. Unbelievable catch.
I tell you, that's big man rolling right there.
What a play. What more can he do?
All right, looks like a beautiful, crisp day in Nashville, Tennessee for a must-win for both teams, essentially. Amber Theo-Harris, D'Angelo Hall, take it away.
Rich, fans here in Nashville certainly have something to be excited about. They're riding a 3-game win streak on the back of Derrick Henry. And even though it's not 1 million yards, as Rich said earlier, he has 408 yards in his last 2 games and 6 touchdowns. He's been phenomenal. But D'Angelo, does his production continue today against your Redskins defense?
It's going to be interesting because we've seen this Redskins defense stop some of the best backs in the NFL, and then we've also seen them falter. And so, you know, Saquon Barkley, the first time they faced him, 38 yards rushing. Second time, 170 yards. Last week, they had Leonard Fournette, held him to 46 yards. And so this defense is very capable of stopping Derrick Henry, but can they do it and will they do it is 2 different things. I don't think they stop Derrick Henry today.
Well, if they do stop Derrick Henry, it'll be very interesting to see what will happen on the back of Marcus Mariota. But on the flip side, if we look at the Redskins running game, there's a guy on that sideline that has been doing this for years, Adrian Peterson. AD ripped off a 90-yard touchdown run a few weeks ago. The man is 33 years old, and he can still run. Nobody is running like him. I mean, he is a guy that's 77 yards away right now from his 8th 1,000-yard season. What do you expect from him today against the Titans?
I expect Adrian Peterson to be himself, and that's all just all day. They call him AD for a reason. All day. If there's a lane, he's gonna find it. He's that running back that most guys in that backfield, they're losing 1 yard, they're losing 2 yards. AP is always falling forwards. If there's a hole to hit, he's gonna hit it. And at 33 years old, I mean, it is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen because, I mean, this dude just has a motor that does not stop. And we knew that when they brought him in. I said that this guy is gonna be a player. He still has stuff left in the tank, and he's showing it play in and play out.
And they're going to need him today. Both tight ends are out for the Redskins, and also a couple of receivers will have an injury report coming up. So the Redskins getting it done on the field and also off the field. Tanya Snyder, the wife of Washington Redskins owner Daniel Snyder, was instrumental in creating the Think Pink movement in the NFL 20 years ago. Her story of supporting and touching millions of people is compelling, and it exemplifies how each NFL team is capable of incredible charity and can inspire hope in its market and also nationally.
The Redskins were the first to decide that this was such an important women's issue that they were willing to go to other league owners and other league teams and suggest that they might want to do that outreach as well. And without that entree to that community, I don't believe it ever would have grown.
I spoke to Roger Goodell many times, kind of tugging on his shirt and just sharing with him.
You know, the great thing about Tanya is when she gets focused on something, she is just incredibly effective. She was a driving force for us, and that was great for us because we needed champions.
I think it was fantastic, and finally that it was official. To have the stamp from the standpoint of the league office backing was a big deal.
With Tanya Snyder and the Redskins stoking the engine, more NFL teams hopped aboard the Think Pink train. By 2008, nearly the entire league was involved, and the awareness being raised was undeniably saving lives, one of which belonged to Tanya Snyder.
Well, Tanya, unfortunately, got breast cancer.
Because of the efforts that we do every year, I was doing a self-exam, and I did notice something different. I just had a mammogram in December and noticed it February, March, just a couple of months later, and immediately went to check my list off so that just wanted to know that I was okay. And I got a diagnosis pretty quickly, and I was very shocked. It's the most devastating day that you ever experience as a mom and as a wife.
It just is an experience that no one should have, and that's why we're long-term in this fight together.
The fortunate thing, I got it really, really early, and so I had many options to take care of things, and everything's great.
It's something that she got through, and thank God we're fortunate, we're lucky, and now it's all about trying to help others.
Such a wonderful cause, and D'Angelo, you know the Snyders very well.
Yeah, firsthand experience being with this organization. That was one of the things that drew me to always stay in Washington with the Redskins, was the charitable works that their organization does. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's not lip service. Tanya Snyder is really out there. She has the wives out there committed. Us as players, we're always hands-on in anything that the Redskins are doing as far as charitable efforts.
And continued health to her and all the women out there fighting that fight. We're rooting for you. Much more to come from Nashville. Saturday football in Nashville, Tennessee. Can the Tennessee Titans win their fourth in a row? Can the Redskins stay alive in the NFC as NFL Game Day Kickoff continues?
All right. After making the playoffs last year and winning in Arrowhead, only to go down in the divisional round in New England, what will happen over the next coming weeks? Starting today with Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans. And then there's tonight's game between the Ravens and the Chargers here in Los Angeles. And the Chargers have one of the top passing offenses in the league. And as we all know, Keenan Allen, who went out with a hip pointer in last week's game against the Chiefs, he is a big reason why. In this installment of NFL 360, the game-breaking wide receiver takes our Jim Trotter on a trip back to the place that has helped to define him.
This is where it all started, with the tree. We didn't have dummies growing up, so we would use the tree as a dummy. So they would sweep me the ball, I'd run up on the tree, give it a move, get around it, and keep going forward.
From Pee Wee legend to high school All-American to college standout, and now a record-setting receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Jukes a man, Jukes a second man.
2017 Comeback Player of the Year, Keenan Allen has been known to have one personality on the field.
Nickname Slayer, where'd it come from?
It kind of goes with my game because I be killing dudes.
Keenan Allen makes a mockery of the Dallas defense.
And another personality off the field. From eye-opening highs to challenging lows, and every emotion in between.
Well, let's go back to your rookie year. Obviously, that was a tough time, at least initially.
Training camp was rough. When I first got there, I was kind of overweight. Couldn't do everything right away. No confidence. The coaches think I can't play.
When do you start to think, maybe this isn't for me?
After that first game, I didn't play at all. Literally, didn't play me. It was tough.
Feeling unneeded, if not unwanted, Allen reached back to Greensboro.
You made a call to your mom.
Yeah.
What did you tell her?
Called her, just told her I didn't want to play no more. So, I'm done. She was like, nah, you work way too hard for this. This is where you want to be. This is what it is. You just got to be patient and let God work.
In fact, the door of opportunity opened for him the following week after an injury to Malcolm Floyd.
Week 2, you get in that game against Philadelphia.
First play, you got in, third down.
The first NFL catch for number 13.
I got up talking junk, too. Just never look back. It's go time.
Allen was on his way to composing a special season in 2016 with 6 catches for 63 yards in the first half of the season opener at Kansas City. But the music stopped suddenly when he tore his ACL.
Here's a guy that missed half of last season with the lacerated kidney. He's just had a succession of injuries.
ACL was just like, what? I just came off an injury. I ain't played, so I can't play again?
Allen returned in 2017 with a healthy knee and a modest, yet significant goal.
My total mindset after rehab was just play all 16 games.
He did that and more, establishing an NFL record with 3 straight games of at least 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown.
You did things no other receiver had ever done.
It seemed a little easy.
Soft-spoken yet vocal, ferocious yet gentle, driven yet relaxed, Allen has always slayed whatever he's done, whether in Greensboro or the NFL.
Is there a better receiver than you in this league?
Not that I know of.
That's the kind of confidence you have to have.
Yeah. I work that much.
Keenan Allen, again, he went out. It was his first catchless game of his stellar career. Will he be back tonight? He's apparently a game-time decision for that huge game against the Ravens right here on NFL Network after the one we take you to kickoff, 11 Tennessee.
Plenty more to come on NFL Game Day Kickoff. But first, here's a sneak peek at Venom, now on digital and Blu-ray. Want more stats? Hey Siri, who has the most touchdowns in football?
That looks like you're in that. That's a beautiful spot right there.
Sack. Unbelievable.
Like a
huge play.
touchdown.
Sacked again. Wow. Sack. He's hit.
Jump for a touchdown.
Strike first. Pass is caught.
Touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk the night game. Tirico and Kurt Warner with the call, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's very simple. Chargers win out, and the Chiefs split the rest of the way. Then the Chargers are the 1 seed, and then the Ravens have an opportunity to be in first place in the AFC North by the end of this week. If they win tonight and the Steelers lose in New Orleans, then they have a win-and-in scenario against the Browns to take the division. Lots at stake tonight in Los Angeles. Let's send things out to Nashville to discuss it. Amber?
Well, as we were getting ready for the Titans-Redskins here in Nashville, D'Angelo Hall and myself were out there talking to fans, and they asked us who we were rooting for. Who did I say?
You said Baltimore.
Because there's a huge game going on.
But she's from Maryland, guys, so we got to remember that.
I know, I'm from Maryland, but there's a huge game going on across the country. And you look at the Chargers, would you say they are the best team in the AFC right now?
You know, for the longest time, I always said the Chiefs, the Chiefs, the Chiefs. But I just don't believe in the Chiefs' defense. And when I sit down and I watch these Chargers play, I believe in them. I really do. Their defense is great. They have great players on defense. And Phillip Rivers, man, he is playing lights out. No one's talking about him. You just saw the Keenan Allen special. He is an amazing receiver. I've had to cover this guy. He is one of probably the toughest covers I've ever had to go up against. And so I really believe in this Chargers offense and defense.
And having a healthy Melvin Gordon back today for the first time in 3 weeks. What does that do for a defense? I mean, they have to, the Ravens defense is a good defense.
Yeah. I mean, the Ravens defense is a very good defense, but just knowing you have to go against a guy like Phillip Rivers as well as a guy like Melvin Gordon, I mean, he is a complete running back, and he's shown it time and time again that when he's healthy, he is hard to tackle.
I'll tell you, it would be very interesting to see if that #1 seed goes through Los Angeles. That would be interesting. And the #1 seed, by the way, Rich, the last 5 seasons, the #1 seed in the AFC has gone on to the Super Bowl.
All right, and then as for the Ravens, it's Lamar Jackson's ship now. It's going to be the 2nd consecutive start for Jackson with Joe Flacco healthy enough to be the starting quarterback himself. And it has been a run-heavy offense. And that is certainly helpful if you can run it. Yeah. It's certainly helpful if you can defend it, keep your defense fresh, keep hitting the other team's defense in the mouth, and then Lamar Jackson can throw it if need be. Yeah. The question is, though, if it is, as you see the numbers right there, so run heavy, like 2 runs for every 1 pass, is that something sustainable to go to the Super Bowl, you think?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's what everyone's supposed to do this time of the year. You want to shorten the game, play great defense, and put pressure on the other team to try to make plays. I actually went out to dinner with a good friend of mine, Chris Horton, who's the assistant secondary coach for the Baltimore Ravens. We were college roommates, and at UCLA, which was nice.
I knew that was
it had to. But at dinner, I asked the same question. I was like, can this work? And he said, we have 3 or 4 backs who can run the ball, plus Lamar. We have tight ends. We can play big boy ball. We can beat you up. And then defensively, our guys can get to the quarterback. They can get interceptions. And they can return, and they do a great job on special teams, which Harbaugh's always harped on. This is the type of game that I don't think any team in the AFC wants to go up against because it's so different from anything you see on Sunday.
Okay. Well, Lamar Jackson hasn't had a clunker at all. He's won games, or he's come close to winning football games. Last time he was on the road in the AFC, it was at Arrowhead, which is easily one of the toughest places to win in December. Sure. And he almost took it down, losing in overtime. What about tonight, do you think, here against the Chargers?
You know, Rich, I expected the running back to say, yes, this is perfect just to run the ball all these different times. And although, Lamar Jackson he's very dynamic and explosive out of the pocket and running the football, it worries me a little bit because when you get into these type of games against the Chargers where they may get ahead, they can score points, what happens to the running game? And then when you're a running back that weighs 212 and you take multiple hits outside the pocket, now you're not a quarterback, you're a runner. So a lot of those rules don't apply that it does in the pocket. How long can you withstand the hits and the punishment? If you look at Andrew Luck, he's has several surgeries. If you look at Cam Newton's surgeries, if you look at Carson Wentz's multiple surgeries, and they got 40 pounds on this kid. Right. So I would say the ingredient right now, it works. And you can make plays sparingly. But I wouldn't say this is something consistently I would want to do if I'm calling this kid the future of my franchise at the quarterback position. And then when you get down on those games, like we've seen this year, when he got down in the game, he got knocked out of the game because he got injured, they had to throw to get back into those games. The short to intermediate passing game doesn't necessarily work. You got to push the ball down the field. And I would say it's good to have that option, but it's not long-term to try to win Super Bowls.
Show me how you reached for the check at that dinner.
Who, me? Oh, I didn't pay for that.
That's what I was going to say. He did one of these.
No, I didn't pay for that. He came out here. It's his job.
By the way, the Chargers' run game gets back to close to full strength tonight with Melvin Gordon expected to return. There's Corey Davis warming up in chilly, crisp but sunny Tennessee.
That dumb it. I need a f***ing sack. I'm frustrated. I need a dog to make a play. Have some fun, man.
I want all the tackles.
Hit it! Touchdown! I think I might have scored on that. You would have got that 10 years ago.
Keep it rolling, baby. I'm going to get you two.
And it is intercepted. It's intercepted.
That's what I'm talking about. I see you, baby. Ready for the holidays? Thank you for tonight.
Yes, crisp, clear, beautiful day to kick off Week 16 of the NFL season between 2 playoff hopefuls who need the game, and that their stadium on your screen. Washington versus Tennessee right here on NFL Network. Marcus Mariota attempting to take the Tennessee Titans to the playoffs.
We got a pin. That's why they don't score today. Let's go.
That was grown man run right there.
End up downhill. All day. That's what we do. Keep it on him.
And it is. It's on.
That's how we rock.
Welcome to NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by KFC.
Holy Torero, Batman. There's Josh Johnson trying to take Washington to the playoffs as the 4th starting quarterback of the year for the team, while Marcus Mariota attempting to become the first Titan quarterback to take the team to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons since Steve McNair did it in 2002-2003. It was Kerry Collins and Vince Young who took the team to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, the last time Tennessee actually did make the playoffs in consecutive campaigns. I'm Rich Eisen. That's Maurice Jones-Drew. That's Willie McGinnis. Yep. We're taking you right up until kickoff of this kickoff to our doubleheader in Week 16 on this Saturday. Before Christmas, you've got the AFC playoff picture playing out big time today on NFL Network. Obviously, Washington needs the win to stay in the NFC playoff hunt, but you've got the Titans at 8-6 needing to win out, along with one Steelers or Ravens loss either this weekend or next weekend in order to make the playoffs. And we could see that Ravens loss or win tonight in Los Angeles as the 5 and 6 seeds cap off our doubleheader here on Saturday. So Marcus Mariota in the playoffs last year caught his own touchdown pass, if you remember, in the AFC wildcard game, where the word triplet is still a 4-letter word in Kansas City because Mariota had a sack and forced fumble that was blown dead mysteriously. Tennessee took that refereeing gaffe to the bank later on and then cashed in the Kansas City Chiefs before heading to New England, only to lose to the eventual AFC champion New England Patriots. So you've got the Titans trying to win this game, and then they've got the Colts at home, which is a candidate for game 256 potentially, as the last game is a win-and-in scenario. Are the Titans, having we seen them in Jacksonville and obviously what they did last week by shutting out the Giants, are they peaking at the right time, Willie McGinnis?
Absolutely. And I think they found their identity of what style of football they need to play. Early on in the season, a lot of the pressure was on Marcus Mariota, throwing the football a lot. Just didn't seem to be the remedy for them to win football game. His season has been inconsistent, a little up and down. So guess what? Let's run the football. Let's take some of the pressure off of Mariota, which goes into him as well. What he does very well, because you got to implement him and account for him in the running game. And his defense, complementary playing football, they do a good job of stopping the run. They got an athletic defense that can cover and do a lot of things on the back end. But I think they have found the solution to winning football, and it's taking a lot of that pressure off of Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I just think it comes down to being in December and Derrick Henry being 245, 250 pounds, and guys not wanting to tackle him. I mean, it's very simple. Early in the year, you saw all these creative runs. They were trying to be creative and do these different things. Right now, they're just turning around and hand the ball to Derrick Henry. They're finding ways to get him either as Wildcat, if it's different things. And just look how big he is. He's carrying guys with him. Guys don't want to tackle him. I mean, he is just running and doing what he wants to. Right here, you got a defensive lineman on him. This is one of the best plays here. Because, look, ain't nobody trying to tackle him. You're falling back with him. There was a play in that Giants game where he got the ball 7 yards deep, and their corner, the Giants corner, I want to say it was B.W. Webb or Webster, was one of the corners that was coming up to tackle him. He made a business decision.
He did.
It's cold outside.
He did.
It's cold outside, and you've simplified what you want to do, which is we're going to turn around and hand the ball off. We're going to see simple coverages. And Marcus Mariota, we're only going to ask you to make some 2 or 3 big-time throws a game and not 10 to 12 or try to develop you. We're going to lean and do what we did last year in the playoffs and make a run at this thing.
Yep.
Okay, so the playoff situation for Washington is just a kind of a one-step-at-a-time situation. They win today to get to 8-7, and then they become fans of the Lions and the Texans, respectively, because if those teams win, that would mean the Vikings and Eagles both lose. The Redskins would be the 6th seed heading into week number 17, and then they'd also root for the Bucs just to keep their slim chances of winning the NFC East alive as well. Let's send things out now to Nashville, where Amber Theo Harris and D'Angelo Hall are hanging out with a drum line behind them.
That's right, and it is the baddest drum line I've ever heard because they just played Bell Biv DeVoe's Poison. It was awesome. But hey, this Redskins team has been through so much. Alex Smith, Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez, now Josh Johnson, and here they are at 7-7 in the playoff hunt. How do they make the playoffs, D'Angelo?
Well, they got to win their last 2 football games. And you just heard Rich say they need help from other people. Notably, their old quarterback, Kirk Cousins, and the Minnesota Vikings. If those guys lose, they have a chance, but they have to win out. But more specifically, how do they do that? The same way they were doing it early in the season. They have to run the football when everybody in the stadium knows they're going to run the football. Josh Johnson has to manage the game, similar to what Alex Smith was doing earlier in the season, and this defense has to step up. They have to go back to being that dominating force that they were earlier in the season, get turnovers, and give their offense more opportunities to go down the field.
And this division, it is so confusing. You have the Cowboys getting shut out last week. You have the Eagles beating the Rams. It seems like anything is possible, and certainly the Redskins are going to believe that on the road against the Titans. Let's go back to Rich. I'm going to request a little Travis Scott from the drum line.
All right, please do that. Please do that. Check out Josh Norman, Dancing with the Stars runner-up. A little nutcracker in right there.
I thought he did a phenomenal job.
By the way, I saw the finals in person. Took my son Zan and watched Josh Norman. He was terrific.
He owned it, man.
He was great. D'Angelo, what do you think of this the dancing performance?
You know what? I was in that locker room when Josh did Dancing with the Stars, and I didn't know if he had the rhythm, but you see the man continuously doing other things. This nutcracker, man, he was phenomenal, man. I wish I'd have known. It was right down the road from my house. I would have went. I would have supported the guy. It was for a good cause as well. His daughter was in the play as well, so nice. It was a great thing by Josh.
A family affair. There we go. Bunch of Normans out there in the nutcracker in the Washington, D.C. area. So the Dallas Cowboys have the Bucs at home, and then they visit the Giants. All they need is just one win, or this week, the Eagles and Redskins combining to lose, and they get the NFC East. But that was the same exact clinching scenario for them last week. And not only did the Cowboys lose, both Philadelphia and Washington won. So this might be a little bit premature of a topic bar, but nonetheless, it's on the rundown, and I'm mandated as host to ask it. Cowboys going to win a playoff game?
I think so. I think they're doing a good job, and they found what works for them. Okay, offensively, it's volume touches for Zeke. Over 29, 30 touches a game with over 140, 150 scrimmage yards. I think this works. A lot of people talk about Amari Cooper, and he's great, but there's no one-on-one situations if you got to account for Zeke in the box. Now, in saying that, Amari Cooper demands double coverage or attention on the back end. So you got to look out for him because he makes big plays, and that opens up the one-on-ones for Gallup and some of the other players offensively. Defensively, they do a great job at getting after quarterback, running to the football, and making plays, and mixing it up now with Chris Richard helping out, Marinelli in the defensive scheme. So I think if they can put it together and get back focused, which we saw them fall a little bit a week ago to the Colts, they'll be fine, and they can win a playoff game.
I really feel like there is definitely a possibility to do it, but it's all about matchups and who you play.
Seattle, let's throw that one out there.
That is going to be a tough ask to do because Seattle.
For both teams, though. I mean, it's a bad matchup for both teams.
It is, but I think Seattle and what they've been able to do, and Russell Wilson, you can count on him to make that big play late in the game. I think Dak Prescott, we've seen him struggle late in the game. He'll try to force the ball to Amari Cooper. We know how Pete Carroll gets that defense going with Ken Norton. They'll figure out a way to try to cause disruption. But if you get Seattle coming into Dallas to win a game, I don't know the percentages of that. I'd have to go ask Cynthia Freeland. It'd be tough. But I think if it's a different matchup, maybe,
could be Minnesota coming in. It could be the Eagles.
Yeah, the Minnesota, the Eagles, you get at home.
It's a long shot coming in, right, at home. So they play a little bit different at home.
They do, but Seattle plays the same place everywhere they go.
Look, they travel. As we all know, Seattle could be 8-7 by the end of tomorrow night with the Chiefs coming in. And then they've got the Cardinals as the one last game, which is you're expected to win. That would be a 9-7 team, which you'd think would be good enough to be the 5 seed. But you never know. There's still a ton of teams that are in this mix, including, as I just mentioned, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you want to talk about running it back. Nick Foles ran it back, man. I mean, they could bust out the dog masks again, put a hashtag out there, make T-shirts out of it, run it back. And defensively, they looked pretty stout as well, Maurice. You saw it with your own 2 eyes calling the game locally here on the radio for the Rams.
I did.
I didn't believe it. Is the magic carpet there? Is the carriage not yet a pumpkin? I mean, I don't know how many more analogies I could make right here. What do you think?
I'll say this. When Nick Foles goes in, it forces them to go back to what they want to be, running the ball and really getting back to that RPO action. Before it was Carson Wentz, it was just a pass option. They weren't running the ball well. Here, Nick Foles, they got the run game going, and then all of a sudden, look, is there any way you can get 2 guys behind?
It's unbelievable.
It was unreal. So
that.
They were running the ball well. When you get that RPO action, you find ways to get guys open. They're making plays. So it really got back to getting him in, getting the run game going. They started running the ball a little bit more against the Rams. They started scoring touchdowns, and you have to really, now everyone's focusing on the run. Then
so this is a yes or no question, again, not to put too fine a point on it. Do you think they got another magic carpet ride run here? Yeah or nay? I mean, they got the Texans coming up
I think
tomorrow.
I personally
and then
think
they've got to take on this Washington team in D.C. that we're about to see.
I personally think they do, and I think if they get on this run again like they did last year, it's going to be a tough out in the playoffs for them to go in. I think they're going to have a chance to make a run. A lot of people are scared of them.
No. I'm going to say no. I think they have found the magic in Nick Foles and his offense, and everything they want to do, and the defense is playing well. But they would need the Cowboys, one, to lose out. Seattle can still split both of those games, lose one, and still have the advantage on the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think Nick Foles brings a lot to this offense. The deep passing game, they found a running game finally by committee, and the defense finally has waken up. And we've been waiting for that to happen. But they need too much from other teams. Too many things to happen.
Really. They just need the Vikings to lose once and they win out.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's
it.
That's all you need.
That's
You
it.
solid.
Yeah, but are the Vikings going to lose out?
Yeah, they play Chicago.
Once. Just lose once.
I don't know, but here's the problem with that. So whatever happens with the Rams, okay, your Rams, you got to depend. If the Rams win one, if the Rams lose a couple, then yeah, Chicago could be fighting for that 2 seed. If the Rams win one game, then Chicago could be resting people week 17.
That's possible.
So they need a lot of different things to happen.
It could be entirely possible. We'll see what happens right there. But all I know is, I'll tell you this, is you see Trent Williams wearing a Sean Taylor jersey right
Big
there.
dog.
Yes.
Eagles might be that proverbial last team you want to see coming to your building week of the wild card game.
You don't want to go up against that first. Look at that.
Coming up on NFL Game Day Kickoff. After a decade in pro football, does journeyman quarterback Josh Johnson have Washington primed for a postseason push?
The kick is good, and the Redskins win.
Meanwhile, Derrick Henry's rewriting the Titans record book.
Derrick Henry, 99 yards.
Is the former Heisman Trophy winner primed for another outstanding performance today? Our experts have the answer when NFL Game Day Kickoff presented by KFC returns.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Better make way 'cause I'm coming.
There's the quarterback of the Redskins, who looks like he's trying to become the first quarterback in football history to go from the San Diego Fleet of the AAF to an NFL playoff quarterback in the very same year. Went from the San Diego Fleet to the Washington Redskins, Ian Rappaport. We all know why he's starting right now, because Mark Sanchez, after Colt McCoy, after Alex Smith, all for one reason or another not viable to start in week number 4. In week number 16. My question for you is, what is the quarterbacking future for Washington with Alex Smith's NFL future up in the air?
Yeah, it certainly is up in the air. There was good news last week for Alex Smith. He was finally, several weeks later, released from the hospital after battling an infection, after breaking his leg so gruesomely on the field. That is the good news. The bad news is, at this point, first of all, his future is still up in the air. He believes that he could return to the field, but of course, no one can say for sure. And just thanks in part to the sort of delay that the infection caused, it is unlikely that Alex Smith will be ready to start the 2019 season, which means if you're the Redskins, you need a starter, and they have not yet decided if they're going to go draft one or sign a free agent. There is going to be a veteran possibly available in their area. Joe Flacco would be someone who could potentially come in and start for a little bit. That would be at least an option, but the Redskins do need a quarterback.
All right, and a lot of thought just about a month ago or about 6 weeks ago that an option for any team looking for a head coach might be John Harbaugh, with his future in Baltimore up in the air. But the Ravens tweeting out last night that he's coming back for next year and they're working on a long-term extension. What can you tell me about that?
And this answered a huge question in the coaching world. I know that John Harbaugh would have been at the top of several lists for teams who either do have openings right now or are expected to have openings in about a week. It basically takes, along with Mike McCarthy, the top coaching candidate off the board. And what John Harbaugh had wanted, I know there was some talk about maybe a mutual parting. No, he wanted to be with the Ravens. He just wanted a long-term commitment. They decided, we know this is our guy going forward just based on how he handled the team this year. Make a statement. He is coming back and end all intrigue in Baltimore.
All right, Ian, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
That's what it's all about, right? A doubleheader Saturday on the NFL Network. Let's go then.
Yeah. First up,
Redskins, Titans, and they both playoff fighting. Tennessee been exciting. 3 straight games, they struck like lightning. Derrick Henry been rolling. I think you'd agree if you seen him. But Adrian Peterson closing in on 1,000 yards for the season. Next up, Ravens Chargers happening. Starring action, Lamar Jackson. Whether he takes off rushing or passing, dude been playing like winners of fashion. But Phillip Rivers at QB on his best year. It's a doubleheader on the network with the action popping off right here. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so again, we're taking up into kickoff of Washington at Tennessee, and then tonight the Ravens win, then they become big Saints fans, because if the Saints beat the Steelers, then the Ravens would enter Week 17 with a beat Cleveland, and they are AFC North champion scenario. And then the Chargers hope to win tonight, and then we'll become big fans of Seattle, because that would make them one step closer potentially to being the 1 seed in the playoffs. Everything's got to come through Los Angeles, and there are 2 questionable, as they were listed, players that have huge impact possibilities, not only in the offense, but on certain fantasy football teams, including the one of the man who's asking Willie McGinnis about Keenan Allen and how you think his availability tonight would hinge on the Chargers' success, do you think?
I think it's important. Keenan Allen is a beast, and he's like their utility player. And saying that in a way that he's very versatile, he can do a lot of different things. They use him to move around in the motion game, shift game. They run the speed sweeps with him. He's one of the best route runners in the league, not just on the team, but in the league. And they use him in a lot of positions at the receiver position. So he can run every single route at that position. So he gives them that versatility to do a lot of different things. And when he gets the ball in his hands, as you see right here, he's an explosive player.
Are you concerned about a hip, though? I mean, he could hardly walk coming out of that game in Kansas City.
The reports coming out of that, he's going to play. But I think you talk about what he's done and then what happened when he got hurt and Mike Williams kind of stepped in and played a huge role in the red zone. So with all that being said, I think the receivers are going to do a great job. But getting Melvin Gordon back is the most important thing for this offense. You're able to beat the Chiefs without Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, but to having Melvin Gordon back and the way he runs and the way he's able to break tackles, get downfield, I mean, it's just amazing to see the growth of this young man from his rookie year where, you know, people called him a bust. I was one of those guys that was a little concerned about coming from Wisconsin because you didn't have to make many reads. You had one of the best offensive lines in the game in college to where he's been the last couple of years. Now you have to credit that to Anthony Lynn, being creative, figuring out what kind of running you have, and then using him in that way. And Phillip Rivers, what he's able to do to help Phillip Rivers out running the ball like that opens those lanes and passing lanes and all those big plays for know Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Avert your eyes, Maurice. Just avert your eyes, because we're about to show Josh Johnson having his first career win against your Jacksonville Jaguars last week.
So, but you know, we're both from the Bay Area, so it's all.
Is that? You're fine.
So if you're from the Bay Area, it doesn't matter.
It's all love. He went to McClymonds High School out of Oakland. It's always great to see Bay Area people do great things.
Well, that's the point from which he embarked his career.
Yes.
Okay. And he's been everywhere. Look at this. This is the maps wherever he's been. Bucks, the Niners, we had the Browns, the Bengals. I've lost track right here, to be honest. We're not even including his stops at places like the San Diego Fleet and the Sacramento Mountain Lions of the UFL. That's a lot of dotted lines, I'm not going to lie. Long way to go for one career win. Good for him. Trying to make it 2 today in Tennessee, where we send things out to Melissa Stark, part of today's broadcast team. Melissa?
Hi, Rich. Well, today is Josh Johnson's 18th day with the Redskins, and I asked him about that first career win in his 10-year career. He said, honestly, he felt relief because you never know when your next opportunity is going to come in this league. And there's a great shot of him right after the game on his stomach, pounding the ground. I asked him what was going through his mind, and he said, just knowing what it takes to win as a quarterback in this league and the way we did it. He said, we could have stopped fighting, we could have given up, but we stuck together as a team. And cornerback Josh Norman telling me that he's brought new energy to this team and that the guys have bought into him. Norman telling me a great story from 2 weeks ago when they were playing the Giants. He came in to replace Mark Sanchez. He went over to Norman on the sideline, grabbed his helmet, said, I'm going to put the ball in the end zone. And he did it. Norman loved it. And Amber, he said, we finally have a quarterback who can take us where we want to go.
Well, Melissa, still, it's a very unlikely story. And if you would have told Jay Gruden at the beginning of the season that his playoff hopes rested on the back of the 2008 160th overall pick, he would have never believed you. But here we are with Josh Josh Johnson. What does he bring to the offense?
You know, Josh Johnson brings just a confidence. If you've ever heard Josh Johnson speak, you want to root for this guy. And I always call him a kid because he seems like a young guy, even though he's been in this league for so long. But those guys really feel like Josh Johnson and the way he approaches the game, that they can get behind it. And what Josh is saying isn't that Josh Johnson is the savior. It's just, hey, the way he just approaches playing the game is infectious, and it rubs off from everybody around him.
But you have to be realistic about the situation.
Yes, you do.
He does not have Vernon Davis, no Jordan Reed, no Maurice Harris. We did find out from the actives that just came out that Josh Doctson is up, so that's a good sign. But this offense could be one-dimensional with Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Like I said, how do they run the football when everybody knows they're going to run the football? But Josh Johnson still has some weapons. He has Chris Thompson. He has Jamison Crowder. He has some guys that he can work the ball to in certain situations. But ultimately, Josh is going to drop back, survey the scene. If that first read's not there, he's going to scramble. That's what he did last week. He picked up some crucial first downs in that game, and that's what they needed to do.
And sprinkle in a little bit of Jeremy Sprinkle.
Yeah, at tight end.
The third-string tight end that we're going to see out there for this Redskins offense as they try to keep their playoff hopes alive here in Tennessee. NFL Game Day continues.
I tell you, that's big man rolling right there. He can eat some stripes.
He made them look like kids. Franchise record, 4 rushing touchdowns, 11 on the campaign. Putting on a show here tonight. 99 yards!
That was beautiful.
I mean, this guy, Derrick Henry, all year long, up until the Thursday night game in Jacksonville, had been missing. Quite honestly, in this offense, he had hardly done a thing of note with consistency until the last 2 weeks. And look at that. LT-like numbers he's been putting up. And My Cause, My Cleats, Derrick Henry signing game-worn custom cleats, over $7,000 right now on auction. Wow. Good job out of Derrick Henry.
Get those, MJD.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. It hurts me. But,
well, what you could do is you could buy them and make sure he doesn't wear them again against Jacksonville.
That would be awesome.
You know?
But I don't think you guys... Derrick Henry is actually from a small town in Jacksonville County called Yulee, Florida. And I got a chance to watch him in high school play against Fred Taylor's son. And we were all wondering, who is this grown man out here playing with these high school kids? He goes to Alabama, and then who's this grown man out here with these college kids
with the
now?
SEC, right?
Yeah, now look at him. Who's this grown man out here with these other grown men still dominating?
Well, what's happened over the last 2 weeks, and can it roll on today, do you think?
It's opportunities. They've decided to commit to Derrick Henry and give him the ball. Early in the year was a lot of Dion Lewis, and rightfully so. You went out in free agency, you got him. He was so explosive, he could do some different things. You were trying to change up the offense a little bit to help Marcus Mariota. Gets colder, gets late in the year. Vrabel probably stepped in and was like, listen, we're going to run this ball. We're going to run this ball this way, and we're going to play great defense.
You know why, MJD? Because it didn't work.
Right.
Okay? And Dion Lewis was out of the backfield, not really just handing him the ball between the tackles. It just didn't work. So I think Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, understanding that, having that conversation with Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel, for that matter, who's a defensive-minded guy who understands offense, is saying, look, we got to take pressure off of Mariota. It just wasn't working. He was throwing more interceptions than touchdowns again. So that part of the offense just wasn't working. What's our identity? What's more complementary to our defense? What'll help us win football games and play the style that we really want to play? And I think it's running the football more. So I think a conversation happened with Derrick Henry. They went to him and said, listen, we're going to put this offense on your shoulders. And you're built for it, we're built for it, we're ready to go. And with guys like Taylor Lewan on the offensive line, who has that mentality, and some of the other guys, I think it just fit well for him, and I think it's been successful, and they'll continue to do it.
Lewan with his first Pro Bowl
Congratulations,
nomination.
man. I like that kid.
Yeah, well, you know where he went to school, right?
Of course.
That's why I'm bringing it up. Well, you guys talk about USC,
I gave you props.
No, I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bitter. I wish that Matt LaFleur had called me before I dropped Derrick Henry for my fantasy team, that they were actually going to start focusing on him like I thought they would do all year. You know what I mean? They went from exotic smash mouth to zero. And now he's smash mouth and nothing exotic about it. He's coming downhill against the Washington Redskins today. We have about an hour until kickoff. Yeah, they did the whole Remember the Titans celebration last week in New Jersey. It was fantastic. It's caught the imagination of the folks in Nashville, but here comes the Torero their way.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by KFC's $5 fill-up. It's finger-licking good.
It is a crisp day in Nashville, Tennessee, home to next year's draft. Will it be home to this year's playoff seed, number 6, potentially, for the Tennessee Titans? That's on the line for them, and Washington's playoff hopes still alive.
Y'all know what we got to do today. Don't regret nothing. If it's something you want, you got to go and take it.
That's me, Coach. I got you, baby.
Touchdown!
And it's intercepted. Yes!
And he goes down.
Gotta love the fight in this football team right now.
Welcome to NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by Nationwide.
Hungry, guys? We've been on the air for an hour and a half.
Yeah, a little bit.
This guy was hungry for a win his whole career. By the way, that's the only segue I can make. First career win for Josh Johnson last week. He's been waiting a long time. Can he go back-to-back as the 4th-string starter for a Washington team still alive? If Marcus Mariota wins today and then wins next week against the Colts, all they would need is one Raven or Steeler loss over the next couple weeks, and they would be in the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. So it's a huge kickoff to our Week 16 doubleheader here on NFL Network. After the Titans-Redskins game, we take you to kickoff of. We've got the Ravens and Chargers here later on tonight. Rich Eisen, Maurice Jones-Drew, Willie McGinnis right here. So the Redskins at 7-7 right now. It was a big win in Jacksonville last week. They are still alive, and believe it or not, still alive in the NFC East race as well. But you would think that their best path would be a 6 seed, and they can easily do that with a win out and have Minnesota lose once. And of course, the Eagles would have to lose in front of them as well. And the Eagles have the Texans coming up later on this weekend. And then, as you can see, Washington versus Philly would be a monster Week 17 game in the NFC playoff picture. So, Maurice Jones-Drew, how do you think the Washington Redskins can actually get their way to the postseason?
Well, it has to be Adrian Peterson. He's been the most consistent piece they've had in this offense for a long time. You have to try to find a way to score points. Now, I get, you know, he may not be able to break off those 90-yard runs like he did a couple weeks back on Monday Night Football, or he may not have the 100-yard game, but to be able to run the ball consistently and then help out Josh Johnson with simple coverages, because teams are going to load the box and try to stop you. That's what they're going to have to do. And then really at the end of the day, you have to score points. And I think Josh Johnson is a valuable quarterback who can run and use his legs. That may take a guy or two out of the box, really.
And we know they're not going to score, 30 points a game, but that is important. But that's why I'm here, right? It's defense. This defense, especially in the red zone since Week 8, has been the best defense at keeping teams out of the green zone. I don't call it the red zone for you. I call it the green zone. So they've been number 1. They got to continue that. And then also, they're 5th. And turnovers. So they've done a good job at taking the ball away. What concerns me, though, about this defense, the first half of the season, they were great against rush defense, right? They've been 2-5 in the last 7 games. 153 yards giving up on the ground. So they have not been controlling the trenches up front like they did in the first 8 games. So if they want to get better and improve on all aspects, they got to be able to stop the run to go along with taking the ball away and keeping teams out of the red zone.
Well, as for the Titans, the schedule is their friend, not only because their last 2 games are at home, but their last game is against the team that's right in front of them. So they need the Colts to lose, and they can handle that piece of business themselves in Week 17. So the short order of business for Tennessee would be to win this start to our doubleheader, then go home and root for the Chargers in the second end of our doubleheader. That would be extremely helpful. That would put the Titans in a win-and-in scenario in Week 17 in Nashville. And that's how we send things over to Amber Theo Harris and D'Angelo Hall.
Rich, we can go through all the scenarios, but nothing is weirder than what just happened here. We actually saw Santa Claus come in on a motorcycle behind us with a real elf on the back of his motorcycle. So the fans are excited because this Titans team have won 3 in a row. We We just heard the scenario of which they can get into the playoffs, but how do they do that on the field?
Well, Marcus Mariota is going to have to do more. Over these last couple of weeks, he hasn't had to do that much because Derrick Henry has been such a beast. But like I said, everybody's going to know they're running the football. And so Marcus Mariota, for them to have success, he has to throw the ball downfield. Corey Davis is a great receiver. Deion Lewis, they brought him here for a reason. He is a matchup nightmare. And so they have to exploit those matchups. Matt LaFleur, their offensive coordinator, has to find a way for Marcus Mariota to be comfortable throwing the ball downfield.
But they have to go, well, actually, they will welcome the Colts here in Week 17, and that is a team that has been on fire. And the number 8 rushing defense is what the Titans bring to that game. If you are going up against Andrew Luck, can you stop him here at home? Can the Titans do that?
The Titans can stop him, but Andrew Luck, like I said, he's my comeback player of the year because he's been playing great. He's throwing that ball all over the field. His defense is playing really good football. His offense, he has a run game. He has weapons to throw the ball to. And so that's going to be the real test, is how can this Titans defense contain an Andrew Luck who probably should be in the MVP race.
And if you look at what Marcus Mariota is doing, as we go back to him really quick, he is having his worst season as far as passing yards per game. He hasn't been asked to do a lot as far as passing the football. When you look at what he's able to do you really believe that's going to happen? You told us what needs to happen. Do you believe that can happen?
Yeah, I absolutely think he can, because if you look at early in the season, they did ask him to throw the ball a lot. That's why Derrick Henry numbers weren't there. Deion Lewis's numbers weren't there rushing the football, because Marcus Mariota was asked to throw the ball a lot. And he made some really good throws. If you go back and watch the film, he can make every single throw. It's just the time and the situations that sometimes, he gets a little flustered. He gets pressure in his face, and he just wants to get the ball out of his hands. If he uses his legs and gets out of that pocket and extends plays, his receivers will get open.
All right, well, we have those Redskins pass rushers coming after him. We saw him do it last week. We'll see if they do it again here in Tennessee. Let's go back to you, Rich.
All right, Amber, thanks very much. There is Deion Lewis out there, getting set to, along with Derrick Henry, try and run the Titans into a possible win and in position for Week 17. Oh, and there's the aforementioned Santa on a motorcycle.
Nice motorcycle.
Shout out to Deion Lewis, keeping all the short bags hopes alive. Keep it going.
There you go. What a day. Beautiful day there in Tennessee.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
So there they come onto the field there in Tennessee, led by Torero, Josh Johnson with Adrian Peterson behind him. Big game coming up on NFL Network.
Goodness gracious alive, let's go. Boom! That's 2 touchdowns! Dang it! Golly! I get fired up too. Yes! Woo! Good night! Good night to all!
So just in case you're wondering, we're taking up the kickoff of Redskins Titans. Then we got Ravens Chargers tonight. Big time stuff right here on NFL Network to kick off the penultimate week of the regular season. 15 years in, Phillip Rivers has put together one of his best seasons of his outstanding National Football League career. And he sat down with our Kurt Warner for a quarterback-to-quarterback conversation about what he's learned, what the season has meant to him, and the Chargers' Super Bowl hopes.
Hey, guy, what's going on, man? How you doing? It's good to see you. See you. It's becoming a young man's game. Yet I look around the league and you got Brady and Breeze and yourself playing as well as you've ever played. What's the secret?
I don't know. I really don't know. I do think that one of the, not so much secrets, but I think the reason why we've been able to stick around, and not to say we as if I'm in those guys' category, but
yeah, you are.
But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be 3rd and 7, and you got to stand in there and complete an out or complete an in or complete something in a congested pocket with guys all around you. I mean, I still think the game comes down to that. Right. And if you can do that, I think you can stick around and still play at a high level.
Touchdown, Chargers!
Well, so not very often am I in a room with a guy that has more kids than I do. How do you manage balancing the father of 8 with playing in the NFL?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a balance. Keeps you grounded for sure, but we've kind of gotten in a pretty good groove, and it works. And now that they've gotten older, it's really gotten fun. They're into it, and they know what the division race looks like. Right. They know the whole deal, so it makes football season even more fun for them.
When it's all said and done, if somebody's telling them about their dad's career, what do you hope they say?
I hope they say, man, we knew he loved to play. You could tell that he loved to play every Sunday when you watched him. I hope that they would at least be told he was a great teammate.
Hey, come on, D! Come on!
And then you hope they squeeze in there somewhere. He was a pretty dang good player, too, but hopefully more positive than negative.
Yeah. Well, you've accomplished so much in this league, and the one thing that's eluded you is that Super Bowl.
I think we're in another window where we have a chance. You know, there's certain windows, and this has nothing to do with whether our roster is capable or not. Yeah. There's just certain windows where you go, we got to do it. Yeah. And I think we're in that window again, and that part is exciting.
When you're growing up, you envision holding up that trophy. So how often do you think about it?
Shoot, now it's been 14 NFL seasons and many more before I made it. Shoot, you don't stop dreaming when you get older. You dream like you did when you were 10 years old in the backyard.
All right, checking in on Philip here in Los Angeles. Anthony Lynn in line potentially this year to be Coach of the Year. Certainly the candidate in the AFC. And the Chargers are sending 7 players to the Pro Bowl. Oh, so that's quite a bit. They're the best team in the AFC. We keep hearing the phrase most complete team, which is like the NFL version of saying they're pound for pound the best. Are they the best?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say right now yes, and it's led by Phillip Rivers, of course. And you got to give a lot of props to Ken Wisenhunt for surrounding him with a lot of options offensively to make his job easier where he doesn't have to strain, within this system. Making plays in the diversity in which this offense goes through a lot of different players. You see Mike Williams, Terrell Williams, Melvin Gordon, Eckler, Jackson. It doesn't matter who's out there. They're finding different ways to get them the football. And I will say this about this team. They're battle-tested now. They went into Pittsburgh, played a tough game, came out of there with a victory. They went down to KC, one of the toughest environment in the NFL, and they were behind. Showed a lot of character. This team stayed together, found different ways to win multiple games. And I think when you go through that, it does something for a team. It also brings you closer. So right now, yes, in my opinion, the Chargers are the #1 team in the AFC.
I would say they're the most confident team. I feel like you hit it on the head. They can go anywhere and they're confident they can win. Yeah, no question. But I'm going to have to go with the Indianapolis Colts. Okay. And I think that what they've been able to do throughout the last couple weeks, T.Y. Hilton not practicing, going out having big games, Andrew Luck playing well, arguably have the best offensive line in the game. When the Cowboys are shutting down your passing game, you're able to run the ball. And guess what? He's finding ways to get the ball to guys that we haven't heard of, and they're playing at a high level. And all that comes back to one play when they first played the Houston Texans in Indianapolis, and they went for it on 4th and 5 and didn't get it. And Coach Frank Wright said, we're never going to play for a tie. We're always going to play to win. And they took that mindset, and they've been playing well. Yes, they got shut out against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a positive about my Jags. Great job, guys. But I think they're a team that people don't want to get in the playoffs, and I'm going to steal this from you, Rich, because we talked about it in our locker room. Okay. I think they will be the 6th seed. And if they're the 6th seed, it is going to be scary in the AFC because that team can go anywhere and win.
I wasn't going to bring it to the air, but, I mean, if you want to, I think the Colts are going to be the 6th seed as well.
Great mindset.
Well, I mean, we'd have to pound it out. I mean, we could. I just like the way that the Ravens are playing right now. If I'm a Steelers fan right now, I'm concerned. I mean, that's a big assignment in New Orleans coming up to tomorrow. But they could easily do it. Same thing with Adrian Peterson in Washington. I mean, what a run that they might have to go on in order to make it, but it'll be a story to tell.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is brought to you by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network.
It's an NFL Network Saturday special.
No matter what happens, play without fear.
With huge playoff implications.
And it is caught.
Lamar leads the Ravens to L.A.
He's got a man. Touchdown.
To face the heat of Rivers and the Chargers.
He wants it all. Reception made. Man, we're playing like a group of ballers.
Saturday is NFL Saturday. Tonight at 8, only on NFL Network.
Hey, watch that.
It's a Saturday.
Get ready for kickoff Sunday at 9 a.m. with a holiday edition of NFL Game Day Morning.
We are lit up. Yeah.
The Cowboys got shut out. The Rams lost at home. The Patriots lost again. So which division leader should be panicking heading into the playoffs? Our guys have the answer. In New Orleans, it's a battle of Super Bowl winning QBs. Kurt Warner will let you know if Ben Roethlisberger can keep up with Drew Brees. And it's the time of the year for St. Nick to work his magic. And in Philly, that means Nick Foles. We'll let you know if the Eagles are playoff bound. Plus, it's the return of Santa Mooch.
This is Rudolph the Red Zone Reindeer.
It all starts Sunday at 7 a.m. with Good Morning Football Weekend, followed by Game Day Morning at 9.
Oh, my Santa Mooch. That's going to be something. You are looking at Vernon Davis of Washington and the Titans' Jarrell Casey, 2 of the 32 nominees for this year's Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. It's considered the league's most prestigious honor. Recognize their player for outstanding community service off the field and excellence on the field. The winner is going to be announced the night before Super Bowl 53 at the Honors on Saturday night of Super Bowl week. For more on all 32 nominees, please check out NFL.com/Man of the Year. Oh, Vrabel he's either calling balls and strikes or he wants to get out there and hit people himself.
He wants to get out there, but he can actually show them what they need to do. That's why he's out there.
Look at him out there, man. Melissa Stark, take it away.
Rich, you talk about head coach Mike Vrabel. Well, with their final playoff push right now, he wants to emphasize the team over any individual accolades, and he actually used running back Derrick Henry as an example, because with the way Henry's been running the ball, it's a pretty sure bet that he'll get 1,000 yards in a season for the first time in his career. When Henry was asked about that, he said, I don't care at all. None of that matters. It's just about the team. Well, you know, a lot of guys say that, but they don't really mean it. Vrabel believed him and was so impressed by it that he read that aloud to the team to emphasize that team mentality. As for Derrick Henry's turnaround, he credits a conversation about a month ago with Titans legend Eddie George. And I talked to Eddie about that conversation, and he was brutally honest with him. He said, you're not using your size enough to challenge defenders. The number one thing you have to do is impose your will. And he also said he's winning games by himself right now, but now that teams know that, he has to adjust. So can't wait to see what he's going to do today.
Bud Light presents Bud Light's Nights.
All right, there's Marcus Mariota. Again, the last Titans quarterback to take the team to the playoffs in back-to-back years was Steve McNair in 02-03. The last time that the Titans made the playoffs in back-to-back years, it was a Vince Young, Kerry Collins quarterback team in back-to-back years. So Mariota trying to do something that the folks in Tennessee have not seen in quite some time.
Use your feet. Make the big plays when we ask you. We're not going to ask you to throw the ball a whole lot. Just make good decisions.
Run the ball on third down if everything's covered up.
Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson.
That's all you got to do. We're not going to ask you to win the game. We're going to run the ball and play great defense.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Just hand it to this guy.
Oh.
Speaking about run the ball.
Listen.
I mean, I cannot imagine him in pads and helmets being the guy to try and stop him.
We love going against big guys like that.
Why?
Like Bettis, the bigger guy. Because for us, it was easier. I loved it. The small,
because you're
guys.
huge yourself, though.
Right, but
that's helpful.
That's the challenge. You like that. You like hitting them in the mouth here and seeing that snot come out of here and them grunt.
You're talking about, listen, that's a lot to hit. That's 250 pounds.
It's easier to hit.
It is. It is.
Okay, so let's say they stop the run on the way to the quarterback, then it's going to be up to somebody like Corey Davis to get open.
He'll get some one-on-one opportunities. Because Derrick Henry is running the ball so well, they may put guys in the box. He'll get the one-on-one big play opportunities.
Okay, and then a guy that might be the one to prevent it, there's Josh Norman.
Listen, you have to get a pick. In this game, he's been a guy who likes to gamble and take chances. He likes to do it in the red zone. That's why the red zone defense has been doing so well. He has to continue that covering Corey Davis. Be aggressive and get the ball back to your offense.
Will he follow him?
He doesn't like to follow. He's not a follower.
I know, but he has been able to do it, you know.
How many people like to do that anymore anyway in the NFL?
Not many. It's harder than
when you don't, people talk about you. See, that's the problem. When you don't travel with the best receiver, which
I'm gonna talk about you.
What other guy on that team are you nervous of?
There's the former Packer who was acquired prior to the deadline, and Clinton Dix for Washington.
See how he's tackling that guy? That's how you're going to have to try to tackle Derrick Henry. It'll be a little tougher than that, but you're going to have to figure a way to get it going.
Yeah, he's going to have to come up in that box.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have his presence in that box a little bit more than on the back end.
I don't know if he's ready for all that.
And Ryan Kerrigan, who we saw coming in one of those NFL Shop.com Christmas light sweaters, has changed into a more conventional piece of clothing, and he is a load. What a pass rush threat this guy has turned into in his career.
Yeah, Rich, but not a lot of pass rush opportunities this game. So what's important for him is he's going to be that edge guy. He's going to have to be able to read that read option, okay? Don't get caught up in all that. Go and hit the first threat, make good tackles, and play good in the run defense, and that'll open up opportunities if you guys can get ahead for some pass rushing.
Yeah, in the voice of Mel Tucker, set a vertical edge. That's what you have to do to stop this running game.
Good in the run game for him today.
All right, and Harold Landry getting ready.
Listen,
here.
This young guy, first-round pick, he's going to have to find ways to impact this game in the pass rush. He's going to be a situational pass rusher. And I think that he's shown up big in some games, getting some tackles for losses and some good pressure, but you got to get the quarterback down.
Okay, and now here's Peterson. Really is amazing how he was at the crib, and we were wondering if he was even going to get a shot this year. And Washington called him up, and look what he's done so far.
All day. All day. His nickname stands for it all, but I think everybody on the other side of the ball understands that. They know that, so this is going to be a tough game. Mike Vrabel being one of those guys who does a great job of preparing and giving the game plan. They're going to be ready for him today.
What's the idea of warming up with 2 footballs?
I don't know. I was thinking about it myself, but I think it's just try to protect the ball, don't fumble.
Okay. And then there's Josh Johnson.
There he goes.
First career win of an NFL career that is so well-traveled and so vastly traveled that we had to make up a graphic to show you just exactly how far he has traveled, figuratively and literally in miles, that Josh Johnson has put in his career from the Bucs, the 49ers, and then he was with the Sacramento Mountain Lions. That's what that logo is right up there. Yeah. Couple of stints with San Francisco, couple of stints with Cincinnati. We also have a logo of the San Diego Fleet right there before he joined Washington. So to go from the San Diego Fleet of the AAF to the Washington Redskins of the NFL and potentially lead the team to the playoffs, that would be what we would call something. That would be something.
That's called the love of the game. Because a lot of guys, you're traveling all over the place, not really getting opportunities. Some guys just may call it a career, but this young man, I mean, he loves the game of football, and he's able to affect so many people by what he's been able to do.
Zip lining and cooking. We've got just about a half an hour to go to kick off Week 16.
Thank you for watching NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
You are looking live at Nashville, Tennessee. Washington Redskins at 7-7, taking on the Tennessee Titans at 8-6. Win up for grabs. One of these two teams really needs them.
Play.
Let's go, man.
Welcome to NFL Game Day Kickoff, delivered by Pizza Hut.
Marcus Mariota, number 8 in your program, number 1 in the Tennessee Titans' heart. He won a playoff game for the first time in his career last year, trying to get back to the postseason and needs 2 wins and some help in order to do it. Adrian Peterson for the Washington Redskins, closing in on a 1,000-yard season. They need to win out and get some help, potentially, to even win the NFC East. That's still up for grabs as we're getting set to take you to kick off to this game in just a half an hour here on NFL Network. Second to last week of the regular season. Second consecutive week that a week begins with a doubleheader right here on a Saturday on NFL Network. Rich Eisen along with Maurice Jones-Drew. And right there with Willie McGinnis, here is the NFC playoff picture. You've got the Redskins at 7-7. They win out. Cowboys lose out. They got the NFC East. Obviously, the 6th seed is much easier for them to grab, being just a half game behind the Vikings going into today's action. In the AFC tonight, you've got the Chargers. If they win out and the Chiefs split, they play Seattle Sunday night. Then the Chargers are the 1 seed, and the Ravens are in Los Angeles. If they win, they could root for the Saints. Very hard, not could, they would, because the Saints over Pittsburgh would mean the Ravens would be in the AFC North lead with 1 game to go and a home game against Cleveland to try and not only win the division, but knock the Steelers out of the playoffs, depending on what the Titans or the Colts might do. And then the Dolphins are still alive right now.
A lot of scenarios, man.
What do you think, Willie McGinnis, about this here game that we're taking you right up until kickoff to in Nashville? What are you looking forward to today?
Well, for the Titans, I think they just continue what they've been doing. They've been successful in this 3-game winning streak. They've been running the football more, which takes the pressure off of Marcus Mariota. The turnovers, which is important, are down. The defensive plays are down, which is good for a fresh defense. And then when you talk about finding out what works for you and making plays and winning games, this is what does it for you. So why get away from it?
You know, for me, it's Marcus Mariota is going to have to make some throws. I don't know when it's going to be. It may not be this game. It may be down the road. But eventually, you're going to have to throw the ball. Yep. Teams are going to stop the run. When that time comes, be ready for it. Be prepared. And when you make that throw, be confident. He's not a loud, boisterous kind of guy. No. He's real quiet. But this guy here, Derrick Henry, we know you're going to lean on him, and you're going to lean on him throughout the rest of this season. But when the time comes for Marcus Mariota to make a throw, show that excitement. And then we have to talk about the block. No, we haven't shown it yet. But the block he made against Alec Ogletree last week, I mean, you want to talk about team and what Vrabel's trying to preach. When your quarterback lays out a middle linebacker like that and sat him down, you're starting to show what this thing is all about.
And as you know, a good running game will open up multiple opportunities down the field in the passing game.
So that's the way we're seeing it right here from our Los Angeles studio. Amber Theo-Harris has been with D'Angelo Hall in Nashville all day. Amber, take it away.
Rich, it doesn't get better than this. Two teams facing elimination, and you know we're getting close to game time as the footbridge going across the Cumberland River is packed with fans coming into Nissan Stadium. What are you looking forward to most today, D'Angelo?
Well, I'm looking forward to this Redskins defense, and more specifically, the Alabama boys. I had to write this down. Just think about it. You got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Sean Dion Hamilton, Ryan Anderson, HaHa Clinton Dix versus Derrick Henry, the Heisman Trophy winner that you've been told every day in practice not to hit him in college, not to hit him. Now you finally get to hit him. So I can't wait to see those guys try to get Derrick Henry and try to stop that run game. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, I'm looking forward to the other sideline. I'm looking forward to Adrian Peterson. As Willie McGinnis said, his nickname is All Day. The question was, could he be all year?
Yeah.
Now we're at the end of the year. He's 77 yards away from his 8th 1,000-yard season. He could get it today with the playoffs on the line. That would be an exciting thing for the Washington Redskins, but they're on the road against a Titans team that has won 3 in a row. They've outscored their last 2 opponents 47-9, D'Angelo. Gonna be tough for your Redskins.
It is. It really is.
All right, well, let's send it back to you guys, Rich. We're gonna come back with our picks. I have a feeling he's going to pick the Redskins. He's not gonna be very popular here in Tennessee.
All right, thanks very much, Amber. D'Angelo, appreciate it. You got to go to Arizona, don't you?
Yes, guys. I appreciate
the Rams and Cardinals.
We're talking about finishing strong. These two teams need to finish strong. You're just going to tap out?
I got to go. I got to get on this flight. I can't be late. Coach will find me.
Are you really tapping out? Or you got to touch. You got to. There you go.
That's what team does. I got your back. I got your back. That's what teammates do.
I know you guys are going to do a great job.
That's right. You got it.
You handle it. I'll see you guys later.
And as Maurice goes off, and it's an unfortunate metaphor when you're in this business to leave an empty chair. It's an unfortunate metaphor, but we don't think it really is indicative of anything. All right. I assume we're going to remove this chair. Look at him tapping out.
All right, team player.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is delivered by Pizza Hut. Step up game day with Pizza Hut's $5 lineup. Pizza, wings, pasta, Cinnabon mini rolls, and more.
A San Diego Torero out there on the field in Tennessee for Washington. What a story Josh Johnson could turn out to be if he takes this team to the playoffs. First things first, trying to win in Nashville today, and we send things to the gentlemen calling the game in the booth, Nate Burleson, Steve Mariucci, and Kurt Menefee.
Well, you know, Rich, by the way, when we were in a commercial break, you were saying how much you like Nate's suit.
Oh,
what'd you offer to do?
Yeah, look at that. I love that.
What'd you offer to do?
You going to buy it in the garage sale?
Yeah, if he has a garage sale, I'm going to buy it.
Coach, we're going to have to let this out a lot.
You figured that's the only way you can afford that kind of thing? Well, I'm sure everyone has talked about the playoff picture as we come into this game. Both the Titans and Redskins need to win out and a little bit of help in order to make the postseason. And Mooch, Washington got it started last week with their 4th quarterback of the year, Josh Johnson.
Yeah, Kurt, what a story this is with Josh Johnson. He's a USD Torero, okay? And he's in his 10th season, and he got his first start last week against the Jags since 2011. But did he deliver? 151 yards passing and a touchdown, no interceptions. That was important. And he ran for another 49 yards. What a debut that he's made. Yeah. But, Nate, it's not going to be easy today.
Yeah, you're right. It's not going to be easy. That Titans defense, they're #1 in points allowed. They're suffocating. But how do they do that, though? They bring pressure and they collapse the backfield. You'll see right here. And they're making those running lanes small for running backs. And they're not afraid to dial up those pressures.
pressures with their linebackers and safeties, as you're seeing. If you bring pressure on a quarterback, what's going to happen? You'll create turnovers. Not as many turnovers as last year, but this team can get them in bunches. And if the Redskins aren't prepared to handle exactly what the Titans are going to bring, this could be a long day for Josh Johnson.
We got two teams that are playing with a lot of confidence coming into this one. Can't wait till it kicks off in just a little bit. But for now, back to L.A. and Rich.
All right, thanks very much, guys. Look forward to the call. So the Tennessee Titans have sent us this video of Sharp and Davis getting ready to try and get out there. Do you like that?
Yeah, creative. Long, but creative.
Doesn't matter if it works.
We gonna fight for each other. We gonna get the jump. Hey, what we got? Grit. Yeah. Grit. Yeah. Yeah. Keep running the defense and keep knocking it out. Big shot. Yeah.
Big play by the cerebral assassin.
That's why we do this.
You gotta love the fight in this Titans football team right now.
Get ready for kickoff Sunday at 9 a.m. with a holiday edition of NFL Game Day Morning.
We are lit up. Yeah.
The Cowboys got shut out. The Rams lost at home. The Patriots lost again. So which division leader should be panicking heading into the playoffs? Our guys have the answer. In New Orleans, it's a battle of Super Bowl winning QBs. Kurt Warner will let you know if Ben Roethlisberger can keep up with Drew Brees. And it's the time of the year for St. Nick to work his magic. And in Philly, that means Nick Foles. We'll let you know if the Eagles are playoff bound. Plus, it's the return of Santa Mooch.
This is Rudolph the Red Zone Reindeer.
It all starts Sunday at 7 a.m. with Good Morning Football Weekend, followed by Game Day Morning at 9.
Derrick Henry, 3 yards better than Earl Campbell's 2-year stretch in 1980 of 405 yards, most over 2 game span in franchise history. Number 22 at 408 over the last 2 games coming into today.
I tell you, that's big man rolling right there. He can eat some stripes.
He made them look like kids. Franchise record, 4 rushing touchdowns,
11 on the campaign.
putting on a show here tonight.
99 yards!
That was beautiful.
All right, so see, I'm not a liar. There's the stat I just referred to. Last player to have over 170 rushing yards and 2 or more rushing touchdowns in consecutive games is named LaDainian Tomlinson. How about that?
It's impressive.
Derrick Henry and LT, last 2 guys to do it on a football field. LT did it in 2006. Derrick Henry's done it over the last 2 games. What do you think of the running attack coming into this game?
I think it's impressive, man, what they've been able to do with Derrick Henry and having that conversation with him saying, we're putting the load on your back. This offense is going to run through you, and we understand the way we need to play, the style we need to play to win football games. But I also would say that teams understand that now, so they're changing their personnel groups defensively, Rich. So I wouldn't be surprised because Mike Vrabel thinks like this. He'll put Deion Lewis in because Deion Lewis proved that he can run between the tackles. But if you catch them in big personnel on defense, guess if he splits them out and throws the ball. I think that'll be something to look out for. But Henry's been impressive, man, so keep riding him.
And then there's Peterson, first ballot Hall of Famer, who's at age 33, just a handful of yards shy of a 1,000-yard rushing season. It's unbelievable. And basically, if you stop him, one would think that would be a wrap today. What do you think, though?
I think he probably will get to 70-plus yards, but I think that the Tennessee defense is built to play against this offense and Adrian Peterson. I think they're fast, they're athletic, they play physical up front, and they'll have a game plan in place. I think Adrian Peterson will have a tough day in the office today because they understand that if you take him away, then this offense is pretty much over.
So Washington needs to win and then needs to have some help. But that 6th seed is just a half game in front of them with the Vikings in Detroit and then home for the Bears. Then you've got the Eagles who are tied with them but right in front of them based on a tiebreak. That they're just right in front of them there, but they have the Texans at home, the Eagles do, and then Washington themselves can knock them out in Week 17.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff right here. There's Josh Johnson trying to get it done for D.C.
If it's something you want, you got to go and thank it. We our brother people. We going to ride with our brother to the end. No, we're not nameless. We're not
Looking, firing. Touchdown! A wildcat!
Heat up the middle.
In trouble. Sack! We ain't going out like no sucker. Let's go, baby! Hey, man, it's the playoff time, dog. We want to know in the playoff. Let's win one game, dog. Everybody together, dog. Win one game. Let's win one. Special teams, offense, defense. Word for the day is dominate, dog. Dominate. Failure's not an option. We dominate today. Let's get it. Dominate, baby. We got to dominate on offense, dog. Hey, man, look at that man next to you in his eye.
All right, Amber Theo Harris as DJ Schleringen gets his teammates fired up. Let's check in with Amber outside the stadium.
Well, DJ has the game plan correct. They need to dominate this Redskins defense, and we've talked all show, D'Angelo, about shutting down the run and stopping Derrick Henry, but then the ball is going to be put in Marcus Mariota's hands to win this game. How should this Redskins defense attack Mariota?
Well, a lot of people think that you stop a scrambling quarterback by playing man and just spying him. You don't do that. That way you only have one guy with his eyes on Mariota. You have to play more zones. Make him determine and read that defense and figure out what guy's open while he runs into another man's zone. And you also have all 11 guys' eyes on that quarterback, because I believe Mariota will run the ball, and he can hurt this team running the ball.
Well, we saw that happen last week with Cody Kessler running the ball, even though they shut down Leonard Fournette. So that could happen again if they don't contain Marcus Mariota. Well, everything is on the line here today in Tennessee as the Redskins getting ready to take on the Titans. We're only about 10 minutes away from kickoff, Rich.
All right, thanks very much. Time to pick the game. Who's winning today? Delivered by Pizza Hut. I think Marcus Mariota takes care of business today. I think Henry runs. And I you know what? I like the Titans to wind up being the 6th seed. I know MJD said the Colts, and we were kind of batting it around. But the Titans have a game next week against the Colts at home, just like Washington has a game against the Eagles at home next week. So this is a big game between two teams that have the teams directly in front of them, right in their sights, thanks to the schedule makers. I say it's 2013. D'Angelo, your thoughts?
My head and my heart, Rich. My head says go with Tennessee, but my heart says the Redskins. But my head won out. I'm taking Tennessee 24-14.
All right, yeah, you're part of the paparazzi now, D'Angelo. I mean, come on now.
I was seeing he was a little conflicted there. I didn't know which way he was going to go.
Right.
So,
what about you?
Well, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. I think Vrabel and this team understands what they need to do to win. They will be able to run the football against the Washington Redskins. Haven't been great against the run as of late. And it's going to be 23-13, the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, I have a 7-point win. You guys have 10-point wins right there. Once again, the Titans need to win out and hope for the Ravens to lose tonight against the Chargers, or next week against Cleveland, or have the Steelers lose once before the end of the year, and they are in the playoffs as the 6th seed. And Josh Johnson in Washington needs to win today and hope for a Vikings loss directly in front of them, and then they could beat the Eagles in Week 17. That's a way that they make the playoffs in the National Football League 2018 season that remarkably has just 2 weeks to go. 32 games to go, starting with the game we're about to take you to kickoff for Willie McGinnis, Maurice Jones-Drew, and everybody here in Los Angeles. For Amber Theo Harris, D'Angelo Hall, we send things out inside the stadium to the NFL Network call.
For watching NFL Game Day Kickoff, delivered by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. No one out-pizzas the Hut.